Stop trying to make good art. Let me explain. I've been trapped in comparing myself to others, not wanting to create mistakes, wanting to finish with a good piece of art, better than any art I've created in the past, but then I get paralyzed in fear. I stare at a blank canvas, not even starting something, because what if it sucks? It's easy to get caught up in the end goal of having a cool drawing in the end, but this gets you stuck in a goal-oriented mindset instead of a learning mindset, or the mindset of enjoying art. People get trapped in the end goal so much that they don't even create art in fear of failing. Once I stopped trying to be good at art and started to embrace the messy, the imperfect, and the unpredictable, then I was able to remember why I loved art in the first place, and I started to enjoy it again. So I wanted to share my thoughts with you today while I show you this recent drawing that I made. A little different than my usual videos, but let's see how this goes. So when I stopped trying to make good art, I finally allowed myself to enjoy the process and experiment. So oftentimes when I draw for myself in the evenings or after work, all comfy on my couch, I draw in a type of stream of consciousness. Usually when I create art, I want to finish it as quickly as possible, and I get annoyed when details take forever. I'm impatient, what can I say? But in this piece, I take my time and actually enjoy how long it takes. I scribble out all these details because I'm not trying to make the skateboard look exactly right with photo references and the correct perspective and stuff. I'm suggesting the idea of a skateboard, and it takes off a lot of pressure. By not caring what it'll look like in the end, I allow myself to experiment with new techniques and brushes, and that's something that I wouldn't dare to do in a piece that I wanted to look perfect. Here's an example of a new technique I discovered through experimentation, through not caring what my art looks like and just playing around with the tools that I have. So the first thing that I really learned is my main technique for loose, fun sketches that you probably have heard of if you watch any of my other videos. And it's very much draw your line art, draw your color base, and then merge everything together. And then from now on, everything is done on one layer. So you can see when I flick through this drawing near the end that everything is basically one layer except for, maybe the bubble gum on top, maybe actually that's it. It's just the bubble gum and little things like that needs to be layered on top. But otherwise, I really make sure that everything's one layer because it takes away that idea of having separate layers, having things to be organized, having things to be clean. By taking away any type of organization or stress that you have to be organized or have things on separate layers and then you can change it later, I am not intending to change anything later. The way that it looks right now is the way it's going to look in the final. So I take away that pressure by not even giving myself the option to change things later. If I want to change things later, I will sketch right on top of it and it'll be part of the texture underneath. It adds a lot of messiness and sketchiness and looseness and energy to a piece that I wouldn't have been able to create otherwise. Another technique that I've really embraced since not caring what my art looks like and not having everything to be perfect was changing the color dynamics of a brush. So right here you can see I'm changing the hue, the lightness, the darkness of every brush stroke. So every stroke is slightly a different color. This adds so much texture, so much different types of little color variations throughout the piece. And I don't really care where it goes. This adds so much more, once again, sketchiness and dynamicness to the piece that otherwise, if I want everything to look clean and perfect, I wouldn't have been able to discover or apply it. And I only really figured it out once I stopped caring. And I think knowing I can stop whenever and the drawing will be complete whether it looks finished or not takes off a lot of pressure too. This drawing could have been done after I blocked out the colors in the very beginning. Everything that I'm doing afterwards is rendering and doing it for fun, for relaxation. At any point that I want to put my pencil down, I totally can. And that makes the process that much more enjoyable. Drawing could be something that relaxes me now, not something stressful. I like to create, and that's why I became an artist. So who cares what it looks like in the end if I enjoyed the process and it makes me feel nice. When I stopped trying to make good art, I started overcoming perfectionism and comparing myself to others. I rarely use an eraser in this piece. I use the M button a few times, yes, but mostly I'm using a brush to carve out the silhouette and change things that way. My piece looks more unique this way, more messy and sketchy. Often when I'm trying to make good art, I have all these references of better artists than me to take inspiration from and push myself to be better. Without a reference to guide me in this piece, I take the idea of comparison out of my head and I can really focus on drawing, experimenting, and doing something for myself. Before, I used to really make it a goal that every drawing I made, I had to post to my Instagram or post online for other people to see my art. And that was the reason that I would make art. And then you really discover that first of all, that's not healthy at all. And second of all, that really that stops you from creating what you want to create. So I stopped creating art for the goal of posting it online. There's so much art that I've created that no one has ever seen, and there's art that I've created that only my Patreon sees, shameless plug, because I don't want, I'll let them see it, but I don't want anyone else to see it. And since unburdening myself with allowing others to perceive me all the time, every mistake I'm making, I allow my ugly drawings to just be between me and her, and to not be afraid of making ugly drawings because it's wasting my time. If I don't post something, then that's a waste of precious drawing time. That's not true. I learned something from it. I learned so much from making crappy drawings that will never see the light of day. What I mainly discover is that when I force myself to draw because I haven't posted in a while, that's when the ugliest drawings come out. That's when I really want to rush through it. That's when I create drawings that I know other people want to see. And that's when I don't enjoy the process. And so why would I spend 2 hours doing something that's not fun, that makes me feel bored, that makes me feel like a slave to social media? Sometimes it's still hard to only create personal art when I feel like it because I have all these responsibilities and social medias that I have to keep up with. But I am much better now than I was before at telling myself when to take a break. When I stopped trying to make good art, I discovered how much better I became at time management. My decision-making skills are much faster because I don't analyze each line or shape placement. Since I've embraced imperfections and messiness, I create the first shape that comes to mind and that feels right, and I don't second-guess myself. So when I make good art, or art that, needs to be good in the end for work or whatever, I'm much quicker at making those second-to-second decisions on line placement and shapes. When I stopped trying to make good art, I was able to create more and have realistic goals. Be real. Did you ever tell yourself you're gonna draw every day, and then you did it, and then you got burnt out? Same girl. How do you expect to draw every day if every piece has to be complete and better than the last? Setting yourself free from random rules you make up about your goals will allow you to create because you want to, not because you have to. I focus on achievable milestones, focusing on small victories, because it all contributes to my artistic journey. This year, I learned how to paint faces much better, because I made a lot of ugly pieces that eventually turned out better as I kept practicing. But I didn't give up after my first 2 ugly drawings, and because I gave myself a short time limit to create my ugly drawings and then move on to the next one, I wasn't burnt out, and I actually was itching to start my next one so I could improve faster. I ended up making more art and learning more than if I was stuck trying to make one perfect portrait. In the spirit of experimenting and learning, I finished up this piece in Procreate Dreams. I have not touched it yet. This is my first time, giving it a go, seeing what I can come up with, experimenting. I know it's not going to look good in the end, because this is my very first time learning the program. But that doesn't stop me from cutting up some layers, seeing what sketchy little slight movement I can get to this piece just for fun, and then with this newfound knowledge, maybe my next piece will be better. So here is my final piece, with the focus really being enjoying myself, enjoying the process, and having fun doing it. So those are my thoughts, and let me know which thought resonated with you, or if you have another reason to stop trying to make good art that I didn't think of. It's the holidays, so why don't you gift me a tiny little like and a tiny little subscribe? Thank you so much. And let me know if you liked this different type of video, because I enjoyed making it. All right, I'll catch you next time. Bye!